Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone out there is doing well today. If you're new here, my name is Debbie, and today on my channel, we're going to be making an easy almond cherry bread. And it's a quick bread because we're not going to be using my bread maker, and it's just going to be baked off in a loaf pan. And it's going to be done with some delicious frozen cherries. So stay tuned for that recipe. Let's just jump right in. So I have zoomed you in a little closer on the bowl so you can see what I'm doing here instead of focusing on my face. So the first thing we're going to do is grease our loaf pan, which I've already did. I picked up this loaf pan at a thrift store. You know me and my thrift stores. I'm always going to a thrift store. So the first thing we're going to add to the bowl is 1/3 cup of butter. And it's, as you see, pretty melted. Definitely has to be softened. You don't want to try to mix up cold butter. It just doesn't work that well. So I have 1/3 cup of butter. To that we're going to add 1 cup of sugar. There's 1/2. And 1. Y'all getting prepared out there for the holiday coming up? Thanksgiving's over and Christmas is on the way. Okay, now we're going to beat that together. Again, I'm using my Breville hand mixer that I just got. I'm loving it. It's so quiet, I can talk over it. And we're going to beat this till it says it's light and fluffy. And if you watch my channel, you'll see that on one of the other recipes I did, it told me 5 minutes. And I guess I've just never been patient enough. It's always gotten to be like that, and I'm like, that's not fluffy to me. And I always just stopped. But it actually takes at least about 5 minutes. If you keep mixing, it'll turn light and fluffy. So we just have to be patient, which I've told you before, patience is not one of my long suits. So we're going to speed this process up, and I'll be back when we're done. Okay, I think we're just about there. We're going to turn it off. Seems to be a little fluffy. Kind of looks like mashed potatoes. And it probably would be even fluffier if I wouldn't have accidentally melted my butter all the way in the microwave. Probably if you just have it softened, it might incorporate a little fluffier. Okay, so now we're going to add in our vanilla, which is 1 teaspoon. And we're going to be adding in some pure almond extract. And this is Watkins, and it is pure almond extract. And we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon of that. I love that smell. Almond extract and vanilla extract. 2 of my all-time favorite extracts. If you've never tried putting a little bit of almond extract in your sugar cookies, delicious. I figured out that's what was in my aunt's cookies from years ago whenever we were little, and she would make us cookies. I think I told you this before, on Halloween. She wouldn't give out candy. She would give out candy, But she'd give out candy to like the kids that weren't related to her. And then when us kids came, that was her nieces and nephews and grandkids, she would have bags of cookies for them, homemade cookies, and they were delicious. And they just had a wonderful taste. And I never could figure it out till later on in life, and it ended up being almond extract. She used that instead of vanilla in her sugar cookies. Aunt Marie, she was a good lady. Loved her so much. Okay, so now we're gonna beat in 2 eggs. Just gonna incorporate them one at a time. And another thing about this mixer, I'm scraping my bowl actually with the beaters. They have little rubberized ends on them, so that helps. Okay, so now we're going to do our dry ingredients. And I'm going to be a good girl, and I'm going to mix them in a separate bowl. And the reason I'm doing that today is because we're going to incorporate half of them, and then we're going to fold in some sour cream, and then we're going to incorporate the other half. So I'm just going to do it in the bowl like as instructed. Okay, so the first thing to the bowl we're going to add is 1.5 cups of flour. I had that pre-measured out. Then we're going to be adding some salt. And the salt is 1/2 teaspoon. Then we're going to be adding baking powder. Let me check. The baking powder is 1 teaspoon. This is the teaspoon. I'll use this end. 1 teaspoon. And then the baking soda is going to be 1/2 teaspoon. These double-ended things really come in handy. And then I'm going to grab a fork here and just combine that. Okay, I think it's combined. Now we're going to add half of that into here. Let me make sure you can see what I'm doing. And that looks like about half, I would say. And for this step, I'm going to just fold it in. So I want to get my beaters cleaned off pretty good. Don't want to leave any of that nice gooey, ooey batter on there. It's so nice not having that middle pole in there to have to clean off. So let me throw these in the sink. Grab my cute little gingerbread boy. Fold those in. Then after we get these folded in, we're going to put our sour cream in, which is 3/4 cup. And I think I mentioned it at the beginning, not sure, but we're going to preheat our oven to 375. And mine just went off a while ago, so it is ready and waiting for me. All right, let's add in our sour cream, which is 3/4 cup. Let me get a clean spoon. I love baking in my bread machine, and I have a good bread machine recipe coming up. I'm not quite sure how to say it. I know someone out there will, one of the viewers, Maria, one of my faithful watchers. I think it's called panettone, something like that. I researched how to say it, so. We're going to be making that. That is an Italian Christmas. It's a bread usually served around Christmas time. And it has lots of different fruits in it. So I'm going to make that. And that is going to be a bread machine recipe. I'd have to check. I'm not sure if you do the dough in the bread machine or if you bake it fully in the bread machine. I think the recipe I have is you bake it fully in the bread machine. I'll check on that and get back with you. Okay, there we have that. Let's fold that in. 3/4 cup of sour cream. Ooh, that is smelling so good. I didn't get my cherries out yet. I left them in the freezer until we need them. This recipe says frozen cherries, so I'm just not thawing them. I'm just using them frozen. So I hope that doesn't make them too watery or anything. Okay. Now we're going to fold in the rest of our dry ingredients. And I think we'll be ready for the cherries. Sure does give your arm a workout. Okay. I'm going to grab my cherries out of the deep freeze. Hey, I'm back. I just have some frozen, they're dark sweet cherries that have been pitted. We're going to do a cup of those and fold those in. And then, like I said, I preheated the oven to 375. We're going to bake it at 375 for 20 minutes. And then we're going to reduce the temperature to 350 for about 30 minutes, I think it was, 30 to 40. Ooh, runaway cherry. Look at these. These are beautiful. Look at those. I'll put one more right there. Wow. 1 cup. Those are big. So we're going to fold those in, get this in our pan, and get it to baking. I think it needs a little more cherries, but I'm not going to add them because I don't want it to make the dough too wet. So I probably could have chopped these in half. So hopefully there's a cherry at least in every piece that you cut. Now you can do this in little loaves if you want to do mini loaves. That's a nice thing to do for around the holidays, is do mini loaves of stuff and give them out as gifts. Who doesn't like fresh baked goods? I hope everyone appreciates fresh baked goods. Mine are always baked straight from my heart. I don't do baking without loving it. Cooking, different story. I cook dinners and meals like, you know, lunch, breakfast, just because I have to. If I could have all my meals catered to me, I would. Huh. I just don't enjoy cooking like I do baking. I don't know why that is. Okay, we're gonna spread this out a little evenly. And like I said, I really hope each slice has at least a cherry or two in it. It's looking pretty. Okay. Let's get that on there. Okay, into the oven she's gonna go. Look good? Okay, into the oven for 20 minutes at 375, and then I'll turn it down and bake it an additional 30 to 40 minutes and pull it out and show you. Okay, so while we're waiting, cleaned up my counter a little bit. We're gonna add we're gonna make some glaze to add to the top. So we're gonna take about a cup of powdered sugar. And we're going to take 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. You know what I forgot? I was gonna get some sliced or slivered almonds to sprinkle on the top after I glazed it, and I forgot. That would be really good. So you might wanna make a note of that. I'll put that in the recipe in the description box, the slivered almonds. Sliced almonds, whatever you want to call them. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of milk. We're going to whisk that. See how thick that is. And like I showed you before, you can just add hot water also if you want. Just some form of liquid. Some people use lemon juice if it's a, you know, a lemon recipe. You can use orange juice, just some kind of liquid. And it's just how thick you want your glaze to be. I think this is pretty much the consistency I want, because now we're going to add some almond extract. And I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon. Love it. Yum. Okay, so that's the consistency I want, and it's just that simple. Doesn't make a lot, you know, but you're just going to drizzle it over the top of your bread when it cools. And you don't have to put any glaze on there if you don't want to. And if you just want it to be plain glaze, don't add the almond extract. If you want it vanilla instead, put vanilla in there. Just get creative. I'm not sure, some spices. I'm not sure I would add any since it's almond cherry. Maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon. I don't know. But just play around with your flavors sometimes. It's kind of fun. See what you invent. Okay, so we're gonna leave this set aside. You might have to, after you set this aside, you might have to add a couple drops more of milk or water and re-stir it before you pour it on, because it's gonna sit here for, what, 50 minutes? So, alrighty, we're gonna let that bake in the oven, and you know the drill. I'll be back with the taste test. I'll probably be back when I'm pulling it out. Okay, here it is. Looks pretty good. It smells delicious. Closing my oven door. Now, this channel should be named Debbie G. The name is Debbie G Goodies with Graham, but my channel should be called Debbie G Goof Ups with Graham. I left this you know how you're supposed to put 375 and then turn it down after 20 minutes. So I came over here to turn it down, and you have to hit bake on my stove and then minus to subtract the degrees. Then you're supposed to hit start again. And I did the bake minus the degrees. When I seen 350 on there, I just walked away. So it reverted back to 375, and I caught it like 15 minutes into the supposedly the 350 bake. So it looks a little darker than it probably would. So mine baked at 375 for about 40 minutes, and I just took it out a little bit early because it tested done. And then I turned it down to 350 for about 15 minutes. So hopefully it's edible. I just dumped it out of the pan. See, it's a little darker than I would like, but we're gonna let it cool on the cooling rack. Okay, I think it's cooled enough. I'm gonna put it on my plate. I'm gonna drizzle on my glaze. I'm gonna try to just pour it right out of here. See how that works. Oops, I just dripped some on my floor. That made quite a bit of glaze, actually. Try to get it to go over the ends here. Looks like every little piece will have some glaze on it. Pretty close. Okay. That looks scrumptious. Let's cut a piece. I think I'm going to cut the end off. Kind of like to save it for like the heel of the bread. Oh my goodness, look at that. I got to bring you closer. Delicious. Okay. I'm going to cut me off a nice sized chunk. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look at that. Can you see that? Isn't that? I love it. Okay. Well, let's taste it. I'm excited. I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna dig in. That's a big bite. I better cut that in half. I'll be chewing a while. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mmm. Okay. This would be a really good gift to give someone for sure. Those cherries are just delicious. And I'm not really like a cherry pie fan or anything like that. But these almost, they're not very tart. They have almost like a sweetness to them. Mmm. They're just so soft. Mmm. I'm enjoying it. And the almond, delicious. Definitely can taste the almond in the bread, and of course the almond in the glaze. Very good. Oh man. Very good breakfast bread or dessert bread or snack bread. So I'm going to grab me a cup of coffee, maybe even another slice of that. I'll have to call my sister because I know she wants some of this. And I'll have the recipe in the description box. Definitely want to try this one. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.